Yeah, we're live. Hey, we're live. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh. $7:59 a.m. Let's see. Oh, well, good morning. Hello, everybody. Thanks for waking up this early and coming out and hanging. Yeah. Um, Baby Beta Blue Love, I've never encountered you before. It's a pleasure to meet you. Oh, my caps lock is on. I don't want to holler at people. I was going to wait for a couple more moments and then we'll, I wonder if I should hop over to Insta to tell them where to find me. But, this is a problem with so many platforms, you know. Let me see. There's 3. Hello. And there you go. There's that. Now, if you've followed Neville for any length of time or you're just getting started with Neville Goddard, he has this thing he says to you, what would it be like, right? What would it be like if you were the person you wanted to be, or what would it be like if you had what it is that you wanted? And there's a reason he asks you that, because when you have to stop and think about it, right? You start to form an image in your mind. You do. You start to form an image in your mind. And when you have that image in your mind, right? That's the first principle of creation. The image that you're holding has to recreate itself, right? So I think it was very interesting that he would tell you to do that. And that's why I don't know how many people dig beyond what Neville taught, like to use it as a springboard to go deeper, you know, because Neville understood something that on a much deeper level than what we do now, right? But it's just that Neville had to meet people where they were. And to meet people where they are, he taught you how to get what you want out of life, right? That's what he did. So what would it be like if you had what it was that you wanted? So you sit and images start to pop into your mind. You start to feel a certain way in your body, because Neville also said that every desire comes with a particular feeling already, right? So that's what he's trying to get you to do. He's trying to get you to, what's the word? Generate an image in your mind. That's what he's trying to get you to do, right? You know, I'm going to do this because it's kind of, oh, is that a little bit better? But I got to charge it now or it's going to die. Does that make some sense? What would it be like? What would it feel like? That's what, because he's trying to get you to think about it and to feel it and to generate an image. That's what Neville is teaching. There was a question the other day. A lot of people I find struggle with that. I hate using that word struggle. So here's how we're gonna look at that. We're gonna change our perspective about the word struggle, because every moment is a learning moment. If you go into it with that kind of an attitude that every moment is a learning moment, then there won't be a right, there won't be a wrong, there won't be a sense of failure or discouragement, right? Because every moment you can learn something from it. What do you want to learn? And so that's the cool thing here. I know some people say, well, I can't see things, I can't visualize. I know for me, it used to be challenging to do it, right? Like to just conjure up that image in my imagination. That used to be way more challenging than it is now, right? And really, all it is practice, right? And the reason I can say that it gets easier, if you have a particular store, right, that you go to, you can see it in your mind. The minute you say, I got to go get this, and you're going to that store, you see the image of the store in your mind. So it's not that you can't see images. It's not that you can't visualize. That's not it. It's a matter sometimes of, are we stressed when we're trying to do this, right? Yeah, that's what's happening here, right? What else can I tell you about that phrase? What would it be like if you were the person you wanted to be? Or what would it be like if you had what it was you desired? I heard an interesting thing. Maybe I'll share that one a little bit later. But that's the practice part there. What would it be like if you had what it was you wanted? What would it be like? What would it feel like to you? What would getting up every day feel like? So that's how you want to see it, because when you ask that question and you answer the question, the images start to show up, right? The images start to show up when you ask that question. What would it be like if I was happily married? Well, you would get up in the morning and either breakfast would be made for you, or you would get up and there'd be a team effort for breakfast. There'd be lots of laughter. There'd be lots of hugs and kisses. Like, do you see those images start to come to mind? Now, what would it be like if I had my dream job? You would get out of bed in the morning. You'd be relieved. You'd be happy. You would be, what's the word? You'd be glad to go to work. You would be excited to see your coworkers. You know what I mean? Like, that generates an image, but it also generates particular feelings. And that's what Neville is trying to get you to do, because when you have a feeling along with a picture, as we all know, that's what the subconscious likes to be imprinted with. This is why these emotions sometimes can be a little bit, oh my God, but you have to know how to use your emotions as well, right? That's what that is. I'm trying to remember the question I got the other day so I can answer it here so that we get a better sense of how to implement it, right? How do we want to implement these things? Let me see. Let me see. What's that question? Somebody asked, what do I do to stay motivated or to stay focused and on track for my desire? And so yesterday I did a short video that said to stay the course. There's a reason why, right? Again, when Neville says, what would it be like? That's what he's saying to you. He's getting you to paint that picture so that there's this sense of eagerness, this sense of anticipation that comes along with having your desire fulfilled, right? So that's how you hold on to it, just like the guy in the race car. Just like the guy in the race car. So the question is, do you want the desire or not, right? If you want your desire, then what would it be like if you had it? It would make you feel this way, this way, this way. You would fall asleep at night and be relieved and feel peaceful about it, as opposed to having feelings of desperation and angst and anxiety. Oh no, it's not here yet. Those are two separate things, right? And so that's probably one of the more popular questions, like one of the most asked questions. How do I live in the end? The same way the race car driver does. He doesn't see how many laps he's got to do. Sometimes they do 100 laps. Can you imagine just going round and round in circles on a track? So what keeps him motivated? What keeps him going? The trophy and the cash money at the end. That's what keeps him going. So what's going to keep you going when you don't necessarily, like if you're in the third lap of 100 laps, there's 97 more to go. And that's when you have to remind yourself, what does this feel like? Somebody asked, well, I've never been rich, so I don't know what that feels like, right? If you don't know what being wealthy feels like, you go to Google and you pull up pictures of people who are wealthy, right? So wealthy people pay their bills. They don't have to worry about that. They buy whatever they want. They travel wherever they want, right? Because there's a sense of confidence and knowing that I got money. So then you see there's a sense of confidence. So when you say, what would it be like? Or what would it feel like? Then you start to say, okay, well, I would feel confident. What does confidence feels like? It feels like, you know what? This is my desire and all things are possible. So if I have my desire, then it's already fulfilled. And if it's already fulfilled, then you know what? I'm right where I want to be. Esther Hicks says to be happy where you're at, to feel good where you're at. Now, that can come across as being insensitive, but hey, Nisha, good to see you. You know, Esther Hicks says you've got to feel good where you are in the midst of what's going on. There's a reason. I know it can seem cold and it can seem uncaring. How can you say that? How can you tell me to feel good when it doesn't feel good? There's a reason for that. And part of why we get lost in it is because a lot of people say, oh, you got to raise your vibration, but they don't know what that means, right? And so if you're going to use what Neville says, what would it be like? The minute you ask yourself, what would it be like or what would it feel like? You automatically raise your vibration. Raising your vibration is when you look in the direction that you want to go in, things get lighter. It feels easier to breathe in that situation when you're looking at it. So somebody said once, well, it doesn't feel good to think about what I want when it's not here yet. That's because you're not looking at it from the end. You're looking at it from it not being there. So if you're looking at it and it's not here yet, that comes with a level of frustration. Frustration is a red. Frustration is a low-based energy. Desperation is also a low-based energy. And so that energy is accompanied, or that vibration is accompanied by an image in your mind, the way you feel about something. So if you feel angst and worry and fret, that's the image you hold, that's the image you're going to recreate. So when Esther says raise your vibration or reach for the higher feeling thought, Neville is telling you to do the exact same thing by asking yourself, what would it be like? And the minute you sit there and you start imagining what it would be like, do you see how much easier that one of those things is easier to digest? Raise your vibration. What would it feel like if you had it? That's what they're both saying the same thing. But depending on where you are vibrationally, because sometimes you can say whatever you want to say, but if that person is not vibrationally ready to hear, if you're red and they're blue, it's not the same. Nobody can communicate with you there because it's not the same, right? So for instance, wanting to become an entrepreneur, what would it be like if you worked for yourself? What would it be like if you worked for yourself? It would be, oh, that's nice. I get up when I want. I set my own wage. I enjoy the service I'm providing. So the minute you start asking, what would it be like as a successful entrepreneur? Well, that's what starts to happen. You start looking at, okay, so who's another entrepreneur that you know? Or one of my favorite entrepreneurs is Billy Carson. I absolutely, I adore what he stands for, because he came from, if you know his story, look him up. Billy Carson, if you know his story, he came from the lowest of the low of the low. And now this man is a multi-millionaire. He has a draw giving away his Rolls-Royce Phantom. He gave away another car a couple months ago. He gives away MacBooks. He gives away iMacs. Like, if you subscribe to Gaia, he's on there all the time. Like, he's just done the research and the work. Like, but that's because he had an image. He wanted to be who he wanted to be. He wanted to have a certain level of freedom in his life. And so the desire is what pulled him through to become such a successful entrepreneur. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you look at other entrepreneurs and you're like, they seem relaxed. Yeah, they got to do a lot of marketing, but and that's the thing, right? People say being an entrepreneur is a lot of hard work, but not necessarily. If you know what it is you want to do, right? Something interesting happens. You start to, like right now for me, I get up, there's 4 people in this live. I could still be sleeping, but I've got something to say and I'm compelled to say it. I don't get paid, but the topics that I want to share, they come. Every morning I get up for the past couple days, because that was a thing. When I lay here in the morning, I say, okay, so what do I do today? And I seek that inner guidance. And then I had an image of recording short videos. What can you say to inspire somebody in 3 minutes or less? I was aiming for 60 seconds. Sometimes I get it. I'm going to get to your question in just one sec there. But that's the thing, right? I saw what I love to share this kind of information because I do my very best to practice it on a daily basis. So for me, I get up and I follow the inclination, and it looks easy. On the outside, it looks easy. Really, it is. Because if you're doing what you want to do, the ideas and the inspiration and the inspired action comes. Now, let me expand on that for you there, baby beta. Can I manifest money without doing anything? I feel like I see signs everywhere, but I just don't. Now, so your desire is money. Okay. So what would it be like if you had an unlimited supply of money in your bank account? What would that feel like to you? That's the question. What would it feel like? Well, it would feel like you get up in the morning, right? And you're relaxed. You're like, what do I want to do today? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to interact with? Because you don't have a limitation financially. You're secure, right? So when you ask yourself, what would that be like? What would that feel like? That comes with a certain level of peace, a certain level of tranquility, a certain level of relaxation, because you don't have to force it to make it happen. Money can come from anywhere. And so if you say money can come from anywhere, then an affirmation to confirm that money can come from anywhere, you can either earn money, right? You can be given money. You can find money. Like money, you can come into contact with money in so many different ways. So, you know what? Then you say, you know what? I'm open to receiving money. I'm open to receiving money into my bank account. I'm open because that means money can come to you any way it wants to, whether you find it, if you play the lottery, somebody just woke up and said, you know, I feel like sending this person some money via PayPal or Cash App. Like, that's the whole point. Be just open, right? Like you do your taxes, you get a bigger return than you had anticipated, right? You know how in Monopoly it says there was a banking error, and so then you get this kind of money as a side effect of the banking error. Like money can come in any way. So if you want to earn money, like in a job, then you say, okay, you know what? As an entrepreneur, I set my own rate, I set my own fee, and people gladly pay my fee. Do you see? So you can manifest money from anywhere because it's not limited to just coming from one source. There are many sources that money can come through. So it helps you if you do what Neville says, what would it be like? And so if today you wanted to have a complete stranger send you money because they just felt compelled to do so, then you have that image in your mind and you say, huh, it felt really good to just have somebody send me money. Because that image of you opening up your Cash App because you hear it ding or your PayPal dinging, that's the image. If somebody just sends you random money, it can come through PayPal or Cash App. Well, then you hear you hear the little notifications go off. That's what you do. Because where do you want it to come from then? You can be specific or you can be general. I'm open to receiving money. Right? That's the best way of putting it. Inspired action comes when whatever it is that you're doing, like I gave the example earlier of I wanted to be able to share, because there's a lot of stuff on Instagram, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. There's so much stuff everywhere. But I wanted to be able to give people something that would, motivate them throughout the day, or doesn't matter what they're dealing with, to be that voice, I guess. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to do, because that's what I do. I get up and I can talk all day, as you well know. And so I said, okay, I don't just want to talk because I've got a mouth and a tongue. I want to say something of value. So when someone hears it, it's a catalyst for change in their lives. So I said, okay, what can I do? And then one morning I woke up and it was like, okay, you're going to talk about this, this, this. And I was like, oh, well, that's 3 different videos I can do. So I went out to the park and I recorded those 3 short videos. That is inspired action. If you say, I feel like meeting somebody new today who believes the same thing I do, and all of a sudden you get the desire to go somewhere. That is inspired action. It is the inclination to follow through with something. And I prefer the inspired action as opposed to throwing mud at the wall to see what sticks, which means you, as my grandparents would say, you're from pillar to post, meaning you're just running back and forth because you're trying everything. You know how we have multiple streams of income, right? That's what people typically do because of throwing mud at the wall to see what sticks, instead of inspired action. Inspired action it doesn't take any effort, but it does take the time for you to, okay, what do you want? If you don't know what you want, how can you be inspired? Right? Some people say, well, I don't know what I want. Here's how you know what you want. There's a void. There's a hole somewhere, and you know exactly where that hole is. There's something lacking. What is the thing lacking? Then that's what you want. It's actually that easy, right? Aw, baby beta blue, thank you. Um, because as I said, I ask those questions because it is my desire to share, but share something meaningful. Like, and it's not just for other people. The inspiration is for myself as well, because it's not every day I get up and I'm on top of the world. It's not every day. There are days that are higher than others. But what I do make sure is that I'm not so low that I cannot get up. This is why it's important to know how you feel. You see, it's okay. You're not, sometimes in this community, I've been hearing this phrase, toxic positivity. I've been hearing that phrase a lot. And, people say you just gotta get up, you gotta be in a good mood, you gotta be happy. It's not every day or every moment of the day that you get up that you are excited and throwing confetti. Like, that's not the case. I try and stay neutral. I try not to be so happy or be so sad. Like, I just down the middle, because you're flexible when you're in the middle. You can go in any direction, right? From middle, you can go in any direction. So that whole toxic positivity is, I find that you have to have compassion for people and empathy. If somebody is, I know I hear this phrase, I feel like I'm chasing my tail. This is why I said to stay the course, right? when you know what it is that you want, and you say, well, what would it feel like if I had it? And a lot of people are focused on the relationships. A lot of people are, because we're community-based creatures. We really are. And so people say, well, how come I don't have my relationship yet? Again, we have to be honest with ourselves when we want something. When I say to be honest with yourself, I mean, what is it that you want, right? And why do you want it? It doesn't matter why you want it, but what matters is, how are you looking at it? Are you looking at it from a place of, I do not have this and I must have it? Or are you looking at it from a place of, you know what? This is my desire. And the law says what I desire is already mine. Good, bad, or indifferent. This is why Neville says, go the good route. Just do the good thing, is what Neville always said, right? So if you're looking at what you want from a place of desperation, that is the image that you have in your mind. And so the image in your mind can only recreate desperation. So how do you move from desperately wanting something to convincing yourself that you already have it? Because Neville says you only have but yourself to convince. So how do you convince yourself that what you want is already yours? You look at the law. The law is the only thing that you should be comparing yourself to. Not your neighbor, not your siblings, not your parents, but the law. You see, because we are human, we have feelings and we have emotions. And so we look at the law and we want to personify the law. We want to give the law human qualities, but it does not have human qualities because it is not human. Okay? It is not. So when you want something, right? You say, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. What do you want to be an entrepreneur in? What do you want to do? You answer that question as well. You say, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be an entrepreneur as a hairstylist. Now, if you don't have the training to be a stylist, something will open up for you if that's your desire, and you will go on and you will get your certification. Is it in natural hair? Is it in permed hair, chemically treated hair? You see, all those things will open up for you. If you want it to be natural hair, then you're going to start taking courses because your desire will compel you to do something, to take inspired action. So that now you say, okay, you've got your training, ... Right? I did that. I wanted to be a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. And so I did 5 years of schooling and I graduated with my PhD, and that's what I did. Am I using it? Oh. Yes, for specific things. I use it to create different formulas for people to help them have a healthier life. I do that, right? Because that is also a desire of mine. And so you need to know what it is you want to do. You have to, because that's the first block in the tower that you're going to build of your life. You understand? What do you want? That's the first block. You can't build anything without that, or else you run around in circles. So now, if you say, well, that's what you want to do, and you've got the certification, well, how come I don't have any clients? Okay, but that's your next step. You want to do this thing. What is my next step? And you sit and you wait for a moment, and the answer comes, okay, do this. All of a sudden, you start being exposed to people asking questions of, oh my God, I have this illness, what do I do? Or I can't manage this type of hair, what do I do? And all of a sudden, you're being exposed to people who have what who want what you have. They're seeking answers, and they're seeking the answers that you can provide. So if it's not moving fast enough for you, you do not throw in the towel and say, you know what? I'm not meeting any eligible bachelors, or I'm not getting enough clients, right? So you say, fuck it, I'm done. You don't do that. If that is what you want, then you've heard this aphorism: where there's a will, there's a way. Do you know what that means? Will. You develop your will when you master the art of holding a singular focus. And that's where you draw your strength from, and you create your own way because of your will. You've heard that. You've got a strong will. Oh, my child is strong will. They don't listen. See, those are things we say all the time. You do not give up on your desire. You may take a moment to reevaluate. Sometimes you can ask yourself, do I really want this? Honesty with self. Do I really want this? And you start to answer the question. Well, yes, you know what? I do want this. Okay, let me regroup. Okay, what do I do now to bring clients? Cause and effect. I want more clients. What do I do? And then as you ask that question and you go about your day, you will start to encounter opportunities that bring you clientele. Now, I use this example of a realtor. When you're house hunting, the first question the realtor asks you is, what kind of house would you like? And if you don't know, well, how can the realtor help you? Do you see how important it is for you to know? So then you say to the realtor, okay, I'm looking for a walkout bungalow in this community. I want to be close to bike paths because I'm fairly active. I want to be close to grocery stores because you may or may not have a car. Do you see what I'm saying? So you write down and you tell your realtor exactly what it is you want. And there are some things that you can bend or give a little bit, right? Some things you can compromise on, and there's others that are non-negotiable. You must have them. So now the realtor looks at the list and goes, oh, okay. Might take a little bit of time, but there's always a house out there. So if the realtor gets back to you in a week and says, well, I haven't found anything yet, but I'm still looking, what do? Do you call the realtor back and go, you know what? Forget it. I don't want to. No, you don't. Because now the realtor does something interesting. The realtor says, you know what? I found something that matches, but there are slight variations. Come and have a look at it. And now all of a sudden, you're presented with this opportunity that matches the desire you want. It's kind of like dating. You have a list of the non-negotiables, and then you have a list of general things that you're looking for in a relationship. Well, then you're going to be presented with a plethora of people. So what do? You don't say, well, I keep meeting all these kinds of people. That's the point. You keep meeting people. You have to put yourself in a position to meet the people that you want to meet, because it is in the meeting of the people that you discover, oh, I didn't know I liked that. Then that may be date number 2 for that person. So you've got to stay the course because it is your desire. It's not some flight of fancy, like we're not 2. We have to stay the course. And sometimes the realtor will tell you, you know what? This list is so specific. It might take a little bit longer, but you know what? I'm optimistic because I've seen things already. Why? Because all things are possible. That's what it is. So that's the gist of it. What is it that you want? And what would it feel like if you had it? What would it be like if you had it? What would your day look like? Right? So that's what I mean when I say you have to hold on to your dream. You can't just throw it away and say, it's not happening fast enough. Because when the minute you say it's not happening fast enough, right? Because think about this. Energy is a funny thing, right? If you give your attention to it is not happening fast enough, chances are you've had that kind of energy for a while. And as Esther Hicks calls it, momentum. There's a strong momentum behind it. Neville tells you the dominant thing is the one that wins out in the end, which is in the subconscious. So subconsciously, if you're always saying it's not here yet, it's never going to happen, it's taking too long, and you're desperate, well, that's the thing that wins out, because that is the mental image that you hold. So don't look at what you don't have. Don't look at not having the relationship or not having the clients. Look at what it is you want. You say, you know what? This is the kind of clientele I want. Anytime you are tempted to stop and say, oh man, this is taking too long. Every time you're tempted to do that, this is why scripting, I said, is important, because scripting literally will change your energy, because it takes you from what you don't have and it refocuses you onto what you want. And so when you're looking at what you want, how many times have we heard energy flows where your attention goes? How many times a day do we say that? Yet we say it so much it's lost its meaning. It's become salt under your feet, worthless now. So when you're tempted to say, this is not happening fast enough, this doesn't work, or the new thing I'm hearing now is birds before land. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? So somebody said to me, it means that you keep seeing, you keep having these signs of your desire. And I'm like, well, if you're having signs of your desire, that's evidence for you to stay the course. You don't have to look for signs, because signs will follow you. Neville says that. Signs follow. They do not precede. A detective is never needed if the signs proceed. You have to call the detective because the signs have been left behind. Right? So it is really important that we hold on to what it is that we want. And the way to hold on is not to hold on with teeth and claws. That's desperate. You've got to be able to recognize what you feel like. You must be able to recognize what you feel like. Are you feeling desperate? Or are you excited about, oh my God, I cannot wait to see how you're going to make this one unfold? You see, that's what I'm saying to you about honesty with self. And it's not, like I told you before, it's not every day you get up and you're throwing confetti. But you also have to know how to pull yourself out of that as well. And Neville did say that you keep your desires to yourself. You don't necessarily tell it to people, because they will parrot back to you what you actually feel. So if you have doubts, that's what they're going to, well, that's really not all that easy to accomplish. That's what you'll start to hear. And so you keep your things to yourself. You script it. You write down what it is you want. I have You can start it off by saying, I want. Because then you have to know that the desire is already fulfilled because all things are possible. That's creation. Creation starts with a womb and the possibility of everything to come out of that womb. That's where the saying all things are possible come from. Creation starts with a womb and something else. All possibility. All possibility has to enter the womb, which means it doesn't matter what it is you desire. It is possible. Nothing, which is the womb, it's empty, or so it appears to be, and possibility. Nothing and possibility. Nothing, possibility, wait, right hand, nothing and possibility. Possibility comes along because you have a desire. And the possibility for that desire penetrates the womb. The possibility. So if the possibility exists, well, then all things are possible. So whatever it is that you want, it is possible. I did not make that rule. I did not make that law. That's creation itself. That is creation itself. The seed is the possibility. And all you have to do is to be faithful and plant it. And don't dig it up to see if it has roots yet, which is what we do. Desperation does that to us. I'm talking to myself now. I'm preaching to the choir, y'all. Right? All things are possible. So if all things are possible, why would you doubt the fulfillment of your desire? If you say, I've been single for so long, I've forgotten what it's like to be in a relationship. Oh my God, that sounds like my song. Maybe I'll post a link to that song. It's an old song, but it's called Mr. Right. Shameless plug. But yeah. So just, again, if you don't know what you want, look at your life and where's the hole that has to be filled? There's a hole there. And you're like, I must work for myself. Okay. It's possible that you can. All you need to know now is, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? So I'm still going to share it as a short anyway, but I'm going to use the word because sometimes we tend to flop back and forth between things. We tend to run around trying to seek a solution from all these external sources, when all that is required is a little bit of quiet time. What do you see, now a lot of people are afraid to just be quiet and to be still. Because I don't know why, but they do. What do you think happens in stillness? You discover you. Because I keep saying there's something inside of you. So, well, I like to be moving. I like activity. I get bored easy. Develop a singular focus. Develop a singular focus. Practice sitting still. Look, you have a timer on a phone, right? And we always have our phones in our hands because mine, look at it, right here. See what I'm saying? We always have a phone. It's like an appendage. Set your timer, 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, and sit there and just breathe. Now something happens. Then you do that. You start waiting for the 3 minutes to be up. I dare you. Try it and see what happens. You keep waiting for the 3 minutes. Oh my God, that 3 minutes is really long. Tell that to a laboring woman. It is. So that's what happens the first few times you do it. You tend to check to see how long the 3 minutes is lasting and when the timer is going to go off. But over time, you stop doing that. And then you start to develop your singular focus. Practice that. Set your timer for 3 minutes and sit there and breathe. You'll thank me. Your question, do you think we reality shift when we're asleep? Is this question coming out of the community of reality transurfing? Is that what this is coming from? I say this with a little bit of skepticism. It's not that I want to say we haven't even mastered the art in creating the actual reality we do want, right? Shifting reality when you're asleep. Neville did that a lot, actually. And he said, if you're in the middle of a dream and you know that you're in the dream, find something solid to hold on to. A post, a beam, something solid, and hold on to it. Because then it will make the room freeze in your dream. It'll make everything stop in the dream. Now, that's the best I can answer that one. Reality shifting when we're asleep. Because you don't really have control when you're asleep. However, if you are aware that you're dreaming when you're dreaming, that's where you have a sense of you have more control there. Hey, Callie girl. But that's what it is. It's there's a difference between being dreaming and being asleep. When you're asleep, you're not aware at all. But when you're dreaming, there's a sense of awareness there if you catch it. Do you see? Like, this is why some people, they call it lucid dreaming, because when you're dreaming, as Neville says, find something solid to hold on to test in your dream. But you've got to be able to have that singular focus, or else the dream will just be a dream and you'll wake up and you're like, oh my God, I dreamt that, you know? And so asleep and dreaming are two separate things. Asleep, it's unconscious. There's no awareness when you're sleeping, but there is an awareness when you dream. So you want to catch yourself as you're dreaming. That's what you want to do. That's a whole other level of magic right there, to catch yourself when you're dreaming. I have yet to do it. So I'm still practicing that one. But that's the best I can answer that question for you there, baby. Baby Beta Blue. Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Because I was like, ooh, I just want to do an hour. Because, so I won't do shorts on the weekend. I will just do them during the week. And then on the weekend, I'll do a live. That's, and for some reason, YouTube has changed. When you're scheduling lives, you can't activate the scheduled live. And so that's why I didn't do it that way. I just sent out a post and said, hey, I'm going to go live on blah, blah, blah. So I'll do that instead. Because last week, I had to figure out that debacle. And so with all the Googling I did, I found that it's an actual problem. And many people are having that problem. And they don't know why, but something changed with YouTube. So I just do it this way now. I just go live and I send out a note the day before. Yeah, because I figured I had two choices. I could have gotten all frustrated and cried, or I could seek a solution and still be able to do lives, right? Yeah. Know what it is you want. Just know what you want. If you don't know what you want, where in your life is there a void that you're trying to fill? And because, Neville said something interesting. Neville said the whole of life is just the appeasement of hunger. And the key here is to figure out what kind of hunger it is. Is it a body hunger, like your stomach is growling, or is it a spiritual hunger? If you don't know the difference between those two, you're going to have some problems, right? Because if you're trying to feed a spiritual hunger with food, it doesn't work that way, right? So that's why it's important to spend that time in silence with yourself. Think about it. If you can't sit in your own company for 3 minutes, okay, 3 minutes to spend time with yourself, 3 minutes. Do you realize that if you go to the bathroom for 3 minutes, some people will have their phone because you can't sit on the potty for 3 minutes and not do anything? You are doing something. You're sitting on the potty, right? But that's just to say we do it. We all do these things. But it's really important that we practice that art of having a singular focus. So set your timer for 3 minutes and just breathe for the 3 minutes. That's it. And if you can't sit that still for 3 minutes, walk. Right? But the whole point of the matter is, the more time you spend with yourself, something very interesting happens. And what happens is that Esther Hicks calls it your inner being, your higher self, because it is spirit. You are matter. So the more time you spend in that quiet, you are actually moving from matter closer to spirit. And you start to learn things and see things and understand things, and your intuition expands. Like, there's so much that comes out of learning who you are. It's like a date. You ever met somebody you just wanted to be around, and then you spend all this time with them and you're like, oh, I just love being with you. Why? You see? It's the same thing but with yourself, right? Yeah. So that's all I have to say about that today. So let's recap really quick. What do you want? If you don't know what you want, where's that void in your life? So once you find the void, Neville asks, what would it be like? What would your day be like? What would you be doing if you were a successful entrepreneur? You'd have lots of clients. You'd be setting your own schedule, your own fees. You'd have great innovative ideas. That's what a successful entrepreneur looks like. You'd be giving away things, that sort of thing. That's a successful entrepreneur. You'd be teaching classes. It doesn't matter. But that's what you'd be as a successful entrepreneur. What would it be like? That's the question you ask yourself. And then you write those things down and you read them. You read them before you go to bed, then you wake up in the morning. Why? Because it's going to set the tone for your day. It will set the tone for your day because, as I say, sometimes we're tempted to look at what we don't have and say, I don't want to use the word complain, but I'm going to. My favorite color? Blue. I have to think about that because I put on whatever color I feel like that day. So I don't know what to say, what my favorite color is, but it's always blue has been my favorite color, but my grandmother's favorite color is pink. So anytime I wear pink, it's an homage to my granny because pink was her favorite color. But it is just important, okay, that we really and truly be gentle with ourselves. You did, Kelly? How did you know it was blue? My train of thought is now out the window, but I'm okay. um, but yeah, like it's important. One of those shorts I did was recognizing 3 laws in your life: polarity, rhythm, and cause and effect. Where are you? So if you get up in the morning and you're like, what do you feel like? If you're feeling desperate or you're feeling anxiety, well, you don't want to be there. So where do you want to be? What effect is it that you want to have? I want to be calm. I want my chest to relax. I want to breathe easy. So what do? Start breathing easy. And what happens is you are actually moving yourself along the law of polarity to where you want to be. Right? But some people are ready to do that and some people aren't. But we do it as Neville say, consciously or unconsciously, right? This is how we do it. So the key here is always to do things consciously. Always do things consciously and never just unconsciously. And I said a word, toxic positivity, because I started hearing that. Like I heard it, I read it somewhere. If you encounter someone who is, if they're going to say to you, because I've heard this before too, well, that's a bunch of superstitious mumbo jumbo. That whole manifestation thing doesn't work, or that's new age. You know how Christians can be, right? Well, that's new age stuff. That's the devil. Listen, can't argue with people, right? But you can live by example. That's all you can do. There's nothing else to be done. They're not in a position to hear you or accept what you have to say because they're not on the same vibrational level as you. If 2 things are vibrating the same, right, then communication is easier, which means cause and effect. If the person wants to hear and wants to learn and wants to grow, then they'll hear what you have to say. But never lower your vibration to argue or to defend what it is that you believe or defend what it is that you do, especially when it comes to, I see it all the time. You go into these Reddit groups with law of attraction. Listen, I have been banned from like this really, really big group that I really wanted to be a part of, but I got banned. And I was quite sad when I was banned. It was a Neville Goddard group nonetheless. And I'm like, you can't talk to people like that. Like, so don't defend. The law needs no defense. Live it and it speaks for itself. Because it takes a lot of energy out of you to try and convince somebody that, oh, law of attraction doesn't work, but the law of assumption does. Well, the law of attraction and the law of assumption are only branches of the actual law of creation. So you can't divide the house, right? So that's what I wanted to leave you with today, because we always are going to encounter these kinds of things. So practice the art of recognizing, okay, this is what I do. I practice the law. I can't convince anybody, because that was a popular question I got. Well, my spouse does this and they don't believe what I believe, or my family says I'm being delusional. What do I do? Stay the course. That's what you do. And they have eyes. They'll watch and learn, right? Nothing else you can do. can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? Anywho, my beautiful, beautiful peoples, I appreciate you coming out today and hanging out with me. I trust I made some sense today. And yeah, if you have questions, you know where to find me, And lately I've been feeling the desire to write more music, but not just music for the sake of music, but actual music that if it gets stuck in your head, it'll do you some good, you know. I've really been feeling that pull. And so, whew, I guess when the feeling overtakes me, I'll do it. Yeah, because I don't like having to fight to write. So, yeah, so that's all I'm doing. Waiting for the urge, to write more music. And yeah, that's all. But that's what's going on in my world. And I'm working on my book. And I don't know if I know it will be an audio book, I'll tell you that, but I don't know if I want to like PDF it or put it into print. I don't know, but that's all I'm doing, teaching people who want to learn to expand and go beyond just what we see every day. So that's what I'm doing, right? It's what I got going on in my world. So keep in touch, okay? Message me, or I'll be around. You comment, I respond, and then we'll go from there. If there's something you want clarification on, not that I'm an expert, but I just apply the law to it, that's all. And that's how you can answer questions, just by applying the law, right? Parting is such sweet sorrow. It really is. Thank you, my dear Callie, darling. You enjoy yourself too. And send me a note and let me know why you thought blue was my favorite color. You let me know, because I want to know how you put that together. Because I don't know. Just tell me. And yeah. And Nisha, thanks for coming out. Baby Beta Blue, thanks for coming out. And whoever else is here that wasn't in the chat, thank you for coming out today. And enjoy the day. And there you go, Callie. Yeah. There, that's awesome. Apply the law, right? Yeah. And Nisha, honey, I'll drop you an email sometime this week if you don't drop me one already, right? Yeah. Oh, you're new. Mepsley, I think that's how you, I don't know how you say it, but thanks for coming out today. And holla at your girl. And I'm going to check y'all later. See you guys. Have a great day. Oh, Baby Beta Blue, the best book to read more about the law? The 7 Hermetic Principles. How do I reach you, Baby Beta Blue? I'm on Instagram as Positively Angela. If you go into my About page on YouTube, drop me an email and I'll walk you through it. That's the book I'm writing as well, to break it down for people. But those laws, the 7 Hermetic Principles, yeah. Send me a note and we'll talk about that more in depth. I would love to talk about that more in depth with you. Okay? So, yeah. Now I'm up out of here. See you guys.